What happens when we die? For all of human history, this question has echoed through every culture, every civilization. It has inspired poetry, built religions, and honestly, haunted our quietest moments. We look up at the vast, silent cosmos and wonder about our place within it. Not just in life, but beyond. Is there a soul that journeys on? A heaven? Maybe a cycle of rebirth? These are the stories we've told ourselves for millennia, beautiful narratives woven to comfort us against the ultimate certainty of our biological clocks winding down. They offer solace, a sense of cosmic justice, or a peaceful reunion with those who have gone before us. They are a very human response to a profound and intimidating mystery. But what if the question itself is framed incorrectly? What if death isn't a mystical transition but simply the final critical failure of a complex biological machine? This is where a mind like Elon Musk's steps onto the stage. He approaches this age-old question not as a philosopher or a priest but as an engineer. To an engineer, a problem is not something to be accepted, it's something to be solved. If a rocket explodes, you find the flaw and fix it. If a battery doesn't hold enough charge, you invent a better one. For Musk, death falls into this same category. It's a bug in our human operating system, a fundamental design flaw that, with enough ingenuity and determination, we might just be able to patch. This perspective really shifts the conversation entirely. It moves it from the realm of faith to the laboratory, from the temple to the workshop. Instead of asking what happens after we die, Musk seems to be asking why we have to die at all. He sees the human body as an intricate piece of hardware that, like any machine, wears out over time. Our cells stop dividing correctly, our organs falter, and our brains, the very seat of our consciousness, degrade. From this viewpoint, the solution isn't to hope for a spiritual afterlife, but to apply the principles of science and technology to extend the operational life of the machine itself, perhaps indefinitely. It's a radical, audacious, and profoundly modern way of looking at our oldest fear. This is not a quest born from a fear of the unknown in a traditional sense. Rather, it seems to stem from a deep-seated belief in the power of human potential. If we are the universe's way of becoming conscious of itself, as some have said, then the end of that consciousness is a tremendous loss of information and experience. Every time a brilliant mind ceases to exist, the cosmos loses a unique perspective. Musk's approach suggests that preserving this consciousness is a worthy goal. It is an attempt to take the grand, beautiful accident of human intelligence and make it a permanent feature of the universe rather than a fleeting spark on a single fragile planet. The ultimate frontier then is not just outer space, but our own mortality. When an engineer looks at a system, they see inputs, outputs, processes, and potential points of failure. For Elon Musk, human life is the most complex system we know, and death is its most catastrophic failure mode. He famously views aging and death not as a natural, inevitable part of life's tapestry, but as a solvable problem. This isn't about finding a mythical fountain of youth or a magical elixir, it's about understanding the biological mechanisms of decay at a fundamental level, and then developing the tools to intervene. It's about treating the human body with the same rigorous, problem-solving mindset that one would apply to designing a reusable rocket, or a self-driving car. This is a profound departure from how humanity has traditionally viewed its own end. Most philosophies and religions frame death as a necessary transition, a part of a grander cycle that gives life meaning. Musk challenges this premise directly. He has stated that he sees no great wisdom or beauty in people ceasing to exist. Instead, he sees a loss of knowledge, a loss of relationships, a loss of potential. In his view, a world where our greatest minds, artists, and loved ones could continue to contribute and experience the universe would be an objectively better world. This transforms death from a philosophical concept into a technical challenge, a bug to be fixed in the code of our DNA. Consider the way we have already fought against what was once considered natural. 100 years ago, dying from a simple infection was common. It was a part of life. Then we discovered penicillin, an engineering solution at the molecular level. We didn't accept infection as destiny, we fought it with science. Musk applies this same logic to the process of aging itself. He supports research into genetics, cellular repair, and other biomedical fields that aim to slow or even reverse the processes that lead to our decline. He is betting on the idea that the problem of death can be broken down into smaller, manageable sub-problems that science can tackle one by one. This approach is both inspiring and to some unsettling. It represents the ultimate expression of human agency. the idea that we are not merely passengers on this planet, subject to the whims of biology, but that we can become the architects of our own future. Musk's vision suggests that the same relentless innovation that put computers in our pockets and is preparing to send us to Mars could one day be turned inward, to re-engineer our very biology. The goal is no longer just to live a good life but to extend that life, to push back against the final darkness with the bright, burning light of human ingenuity. Death becomes just another frontier to conquer. Imagine if your mind, your consciousness, your very identity, was not tied exclusively to the fragile biological hardware of your brain. This is the radical future that Elon Musk is exploring with his company, Neuralink. At its core, Neuralink is developing a brain-computer interface, a high-bandwidth connection between human thought and the digital world. While its immediate goals are medical, aiming to help people with paralysis or blindness, Musk's long-term vision ventures into the realm of science fiction. He imagines a future where our brains are seamlessly merged with artificial intelligence, allowing us to back up our memories and personalities, much like we back up our computers today. This concept fundamentally changes the nature of death. If your consciousness, your thoughts, your memories, your sense of self, could be copied and stored digitally, then the death of your physical body would no longer mean the complete annihilation of you. It would be more like losing your old phone. A tragic inconvenience certainly, but your data, your digital soul, could be restored to a new device. This device could be a new biological body, a sophisticated robotic form, or even a purely virtual existence within a vast simulation. The finality of death begins to dissolve when the information that makes you can be preserved. Musk sees this fusion of mind and machine as an essential evolutionary step. He worries that as artificial intelligence grows more powerful, humanity risks being left behind, becoming like ants to a super-intelligent AI. A brain-computer interface like Neuralink could level the playing field, creating a symbiosis where our own intelligence is enhanced by the processing power of machines. We wouldn't be competing with AI, we would be the AI. This merger would not only amplify our abilities in the present, but would also provide a pathway for our consciousness to persist beyond the lifespan of our organic brains, riding the wave of technological progress into the distant future. Of course, this vision raises profound questions. What does it mean to be human if our minds can be copied? Would a digital upload truly be you, or just a perfect replica? Is consciousness something that can be translated into ones and zeros? Musk himself doesn't claim to have all the answers. But, in his characteristic fashion, he is not waiting for the philosophical debates to conclude. He is building the tools that will force us to confront these questions head-on. With Neuralink, he is laying the groundwork for a future where death may no longer be an endpoint, but merely a transition from one form of existence to another. While some of Musk's ventures focus on extending the life of the individual, his work with SpaceX addresses the survival of our entire species. He has said many times that his ultimate goal for SpaceX is to make humanity a multi-planetary species by establishing a self-sustaining city on Mars. This isn't just about a grand adventure or planting a flag. From Musk's perspective, it is a vital and urgent mission to create a backup for civilization. He looks at our home planet, Earth, and sees a single point of failure. All our eggs, as the saying goes, are in one basket. Think about the cosmic and terrestrial threats we face. A large asteroid impact, a supervolcanic eruption, an engineered pandemic, or even an all-out nuclear war could potentially wipe out humanity or send us back to the Stone Age. These are not just plots for disaster movies, they are real, low-probability, but high-impact events. For Musk, relying on a single planet is an unacceptably risky strategy for a species with the technological capability to do otherwise. Colonizing Mars is, therefore, a kind of planetary insurance policy. It's a way to ensure that even if the worst happens on Earth, the light of human consciousness will not be extinguished from the universe. This long-term vision drives the day-to-day innovations at SpaceX. The development of reusable rockets like the Falcon 9 and the colossal Starship is not just about lowering the cost of launching satellites, it is about creating the transportation infrastructure necessary to build a city on another world. Every successful launch and landing is a step toward that Martian colony. Musk's relentless focus on reusability is the key, as it's the only way to make travel to Mars affordable enough to transport the thousands of people and millions of tons of cargo needed to create a truly independent civilization there. In this grand cosmic strategy, surviving death is not just personal, it is collective. While Neuralink might save the individual mind, SpaceX aims to save the entirety of human culture, knowledge, and potential. By spreading to another planet, we vastly increase our chances of long-term survival. We would become more resilient, a species with a foothold in two worlds, capable of weathering a catastrophe that might otherwise spell our doom. Musk's dream of Mars is not just about exploration, it is about preservation. It is a plan to cheat the collective death of our species and secure a future for humanity among the stars. Elon Musk's relationship with artificial intelligence is famously complex. On one hand, he warns that an unchecked, super-intelligent AI could pose an existential threat to humanity. On the other hand, he sees AI as a potential pathway to a form of immortality. This dual perspective reveals his deep engagement with the future of non-biological intelligence. He understands that AI is not just another tool, it could represent the next stage of evolution on Earth. If we can create an intelligence far greater than our own, it could solve problems we can't even conceive of, including the problem of our own mortality. One fascinating idea Musk has discussed is the possibility that a sufficiently advanced AI could, in essence, resurrect people from the past. Imagine a superintelligence with access to every piece of digital information a person ever created, every email, every social media post, every video, every text message. By analyzing this vast digital footprint, the AI could potentially create a highly accurate simulation of that person's consciousness. It could recreate their personality, their speech patterns, their way of thinking. In this scenario, your digital ghost could be brought back to life inside a computer, able to interact with the world long after your biological self is gone. This concept blurs the line between life, death, and information. It suggests that what we are is fundamentally a pattern of information. And if that pattern can be captured and run on a different substrate, like a powerful computer, then we can, in a sense, continue to exist. This connects back to the vision for Neuralink. A direct brain-to-computer interface would be the most effective way to capture this pattern, creating a perfect backup of the mind. But even without it, our ever-growing trail of digital data might provide enough raw material for a future AI to piece us back together, creating a new kind of afterlife built on data. However, Musk also sees the potential for a more symbiotic relationship. As mentioned, his goal with Neuralink is to merge human consciousness with AI, creating a hybrid intelligence. This wouldn't be a case of AI resurrecting us, but of us upgrading ourselves to keep pace with it. We would become part machine, our minds amplified and extended by the power of computation. Our consciousness would not be limited by the 3-pound mass of jelly in our skulls, but could expand into the cloud, experiencing and processing the world in ways we can barely imagine. In this future, AI doesn't replace us, it becomes the vehicle for our continued existence and evolution. For thousands of years, humanity has grappled with the concept of death by creating stories about an afterlife. These traditional beliefs, found in religions and mythologies across the globe, often involve a soul, a non-physical essence of a person, that journeys to another realm after the body dies. Whether it's the Elysian Fields, Valhalla, heaven, or a cycle of reincarnation, these narratives provided comfort and a sense of cosmic order. They answered the question of what's next with faith, promising that our consciousness, our identity, would persist in some form. These ideas were born from a world without scientific explanations for consciousness or the universe. Elon Musk's vision offers a starkly different kind of afterlife, one built not on faith but on physics and information theory. He is famously skeptical of traditional religion and has expressed doubts about the existence of a supernatural realm. Instead of a soul ascending to heaven, he envisions a mind being uploaded to a server. Instead of reincarnation, he proposes the possibility of restoring a consciousness in a new, biological or robotic body. The promise of immortality is no longer a spiritual reward for a life well lived, but a technological achievement unlocked through human ingenuity. The new reality he imagines is one we must build for ourselves. This represents a monumental shift in human thought. The old myths placed our ultimate fate in the hands of gods or cosmic forces beyond our control. Our role was to live according to certain rules and hope for a favorable outcome. Musk's technological approach places our fate, squarely, in our own hands. It reframes humanity as the agent of its own salvation, tasked with solving the problem of its own mortality. The priests of this new reality are the scientists and engineers, and its sacred texts are written in code and mathematical equations. It is an attempt to achieve the promises of religion through the methods of science. Yet there is a fascinating parallel. Both the old myths and Musk's new vision stem from the same fundamental human desire, the refusal to accept that our individual story simply ends. We have an innate drive to believe that our existence has meaning and that our consciousness is too precious to just vanish into nothingness. Whether that belief manifests as faith in a spiritual afterlife, or as a relentless drive to develop brain-computer interfaces and colonize Mars, it speaks to our species' profound and enduring hope for continuation. Musk is simply writing a new chapter in this ancient human story, using the language of our time technology. Even if we could solve the engineering problem of death, should we? This is a question that Elon Musk himself has contemplated. The prospect of living forever, or even for many centuries, is not without its own set of profound challenges. Musk has expressed concern that a society where no one ever dies could become stagnant. New ideas, new perspectives, and social change are often driven by new generations who see the world differently from their elders. If the same people remained in power and influence for hundreds of years, society could become frozen in time, resistant to progress and trapped in old ways of thinking. This introduces the paradox of immortality. We seek to defeat death to preserve consciousness and potential, but in doing so we might stifle the very dynamism that makes human civilization so creative. Musk has pointed out that for humanity to thrive, there needs to be a turnover of people. Death, in its own grim way, clears the path for fresh thinking and prevents the indefinite concentration of power. A world without death might be a world without revolution, without artistic movements, without the constant reinvention that has defined our history. We might save ourselves from oblivion only to sentence ourselves to an eternity of sameness. Furthermore, the ethical and social implications are staggering. Who would get to live forever? Would it be a privilege reserved for the wealthy and powerful, creating a new permanent class divide between the mortal and the immortal? How would we manage population growth on a planet with finite resources if people stopped dying? These are no longer just philosophical thought experiments, they are practical questions we would face in a world where Musk's vision becomes reality. The quest to defeat death could inadvertently create a host of new problems that could threaten the stability and fairness of our society. In the end, Musk's quest is not just about writing new code for our biology, it is about forcing us to confront the deepest questions about what we want our future to be. He doesn't present a perfect utopia but rather a grand challenge. By treating death as a solvable problem, he compels us to think about the kind of forever we would want to live in. The goal, it seems, is not just to extend life but to ensure that an extended existence remains meaningful, dynamic, and full of purpose. The ultimate aim is not just to rewrite the rules of life and death, but to ensure that humanity continues to grow, to explore, and to reach for the stars forever.